Some players just are better in certain systems. Vonn Bell is back. The Bengals will get Vonn Bell back. He's only going to be making $1.2 million, as the Panthers will be paying the rest of his salary in 2024. The Panthers signed him to a pretty decent starting caliber contract, and the Bengals know how to use him. And now you look at this safety depth chart for the Bengals, and it's pretty deep and pretty impressive. They've got Dax Hill, Geno Stone, Jordan Battle, and now Vonn Bell. 4 safeties that can play, 4 safeties that fulfill different roles. Vonn Bell was really good with the Bengals because he was able to do everything they wanted. Cover, play in the box and stop the run, whatever he needed to do for the team. Last season with the Panthers, 69 tackles, 1 interception, 2 passes defensed. At 30 now, I believe, he's 29. He'll turn 30 in December, so he's not quite 30 just yet. But, I mean, statistically speaking, he only allowed a 79.2 passer rating last year. His 64 passer rating was the best of his career in 2022 at 28 years old with the Bengals, which allowed him to get paid by Carolina. So he's only missed 1 season from Cincinnati, and he's right back there. But the thing you got to love about Vonn Bell, whether it was in New Orleans or in Cincinnati, the man is always on the field. You look at his snap percentages from 2019 through 2023. Let me read them for you. 100%, 100%, 95%, 99%, 96%. He has played over 1,000 snaps 3 times in his career. And he's been to the Super Bowl with the Bengals as their strong safety, complementing Jesse Bates. Now he will be complementing Geno Stone as their strong safety. And I also really like Jordan Battle too. I thought he had a really good season when he played as a rookie last year. And I think Dax Hill, that again, I've talked about Dax Hill before. I think that can free him up to do it, maybe play a little corner, maybe play a little safety, maybe play a little nickel, whatever they need him to do. So I really like how this shapes up their secondary. I think they still need to maybe go after a cornerback, but looking at, Vonn Bell was the 61st graded safety in football last year. And he played 272 snaps in the box, 383 in free safety. And during his time with Cincinnati, which was 2020, I believe, 2020 through 2022, so 3 seasons, he was graded 20th, 21st, and 35th. So he's a good starting safety that primarily plays in the box, but allows you versatility in coverage, in too high, and is a good tackler. His tackle stats, 114 tackles. He's never had less than 69, which was last year, right? And he only played 13 games last year. 87 tackles, 83 tackles, 89 tackles, 89 tackles, 114 tackles, 97 tackles, 77 tackles. He's a sure tackler. He's a good player. And they know what they're going to get. And he fits the system. And Big Lou knows him. So Vonn Bell will be back with the Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals have made a move to help the secondary, adding Geno Stone of the Baltimore Ravens. Count it with me, Bengals fans. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, 7 picks. 7 for Geno Stone in 2023 as the free safety of the Baltimore Ravens. He has signed a 2-year, $15 million deal with a $6 million signing bonus to be the free safety of the Bengals. An absolute gem of a pickup, an absolute steal for that amount of money. 2 years, $15 million with a player that smart, that savvy, that much of a playmaker in your secondary, replacing what they didn't have last year in Jessie Bates. Geno Stone graded as the 25th safety in football last year with a 72.2 overall grade, 85.3 coverage grade, which is 7th best in pro football. Now, he did struggle in terms of his pass rush grade and his run defense grade. He was one of the worst run defenders, according to Pro Football Focus in football, but he is a free safety, so you take it where, you get it. 696 free safety snaps. He's pretty much a deep field defender. 159 box snaps and 110 slot snaps, so he was very largely a free safety. They are going to be a good secondary this year. A lot better, I think, than last year, just with his addition alone to cover up the deep areas of the field and complement what, Daxton Hill can do as a super athlete, and then complement a hybrid player, and then complement what Battle is able to do as a box safety, who he graded very well last year as a rookie. And he's not the most athletic, but very, very, very instinctual as a safety. So he's good in the box. So that's great complementing game. But Geno Stone, I've been a fan of Geno Stone in his first couple of years. As a Raven defender, he always stood out in terms of I think he's always in the right spot at the right time. 68 tackles. We brought up the 7 picks, 9 passes defensed. And the past couple of seasons, this was his 4th year in the NFL. He barely played in his first year as a 7th round pick. He made the team. Then he played 15 games, 17 games, only started 7 in 2022, but showed some flashes in 2022. And obviously the Bengals know him very well because they played against him twice a year the last 2 years. So they've probably been impressed by his tape, or the last 3 years probably. 2 years ago, he played 41% of the snaps. 3 years ago, he played 23% of the snaps. So Geno Stone, a great addition to the Bengals secondary and going to add an area or a skill set that they did not have last year. Now, the other move that the Bengals made is an interesting one. They cut I would borderline call him, they cut a legendary running back for them, Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon, he's gone. I'm not exactly sure how much money he saves, but he does save a pretty significant portion of money. It's crazy. He is 27. He's turning 28 in July. He's the same year born as me, 1996. He's a little bit older than me, July. But he's only 27, and he has played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years in the NFL. He's only 27 years old, which is insane. He has only run 1 Pro Bowl to his career, but he does have 4 1,000-yard seasons. He has been with the team for their most impressive runs, and I would especially say that Joe Mixon has been a very clutch player for them. Every time it feels like they need him to score in the red zone in a big game, he does it. Every time they need him to break a tackle, he does it. Every time they need him to catch the ball, he does it. Every time they need him to get a first down when the game's on the line, he does it. I almost never recall a situation where Joe Mixon needed to do something for the Bengals to win a game and he didn't do it. Almost never. He's coming off a season where he was very productive. I thought he actually played better than he did in 2022. Last year, he had more yards per game. He had a higher yards per attempt. He had more yards in general with 1,034. He had more touchdowns, 9 to 7. Obviously, he played more games, but he also had 52 catches. He had 60 the year before, which was a career high. He had 376, 3 touchdowns in the receiving game. He can catch the ball. He can run routes. He can get open. He can do that stuff. He's really good in the screen game. He's very smooth. He's one of the smoothest running backs in football. He's some of the best vision in football, some of the best feet in football. He's one of the best running backs in the NFL still. So it's disappointing to see them cut him. But it's for money. And he is getting a little bit older. And you got to wonder how much longer he can play at this level. So I get it to a certain degree with the other players that you might have to sign in the future. And some of the areas that you might want to improve this football team. You might want to keep DJ Reader. You might want to convince T. Higgins. You might want to add a corner like L'Jarius Sneed. You might want to add Marshawn Lattimore. I don't know. You might want to add offensive tackle, right? Jonah Williams is a free agent. So there's different things that you could do. And then in terms of who they brought in to replace him, Zach Moss, which is interesting. So Joe Mixon is 6'1", 220. So that's the first thing to take note of. Pretty good size for a running back, a little bit tall. Zach Moss is 5'9", much shorter, 205 pounds, similar weight. He looks beefier and bigger and stronger because he is shorter, so he looks stockier to his frame, but he got a 2-year, $8 million contract, 4.5 in year number 1. That is pretty cheap for a running back last year that looked like he could be a pure starter with 794 yards, 5 touchdowns on 183 attempts. He also caught 27 balls for 192 yards and 2 touchdowns. So 7 total touchdowns. Really good season for the Colts last year in place of Jonathan Taylor. Remember, he was the starter when Jonathan Taylor was not in because he was holding out. They are actually, I believe, the same age. Oh, Zach Moss is a year younger, but a lot less wear and tear. Obviously, you could go through Joe Mixon's carries, 178, 237, 278, 119, 292, 210, 257. You look at Zach Moss, 112, 96, 93, 76, 183. Like, he hasn't really got a lot of carries in his NFL career. So he's significantly younger in terms of wear and tear, tread on the tires, all that sort of stuff. He isn't a great pass catcher. Mixon's certainly better in that regard. Pass blocking, I think Mixon's certainly better in that regard. But I think they're looking for him to become a tandem partner with other running backs in this backfield. I think they might want to go the tandem approach in the backfield. I'm intrigued to see where Mixon ends up going. But I think Chase Brown will get work. I think maybe, they've thought about Chris Evans at work, but I like Chase Brown quite a bit. So he'll probably be the primary guy. They also have Trayvon Williams. They could also sign another running back, and they've got Zach Moss. So I would expect the main two to be Chase Brown and Zach Moss as a power and speed combination from the backfield. But those are my thoughts on the Bengals moves today. I love the Geno Stone pickup. I'm intrigued to see why they went about the Joe Mixon business, but I kind of understand at the end of the day, even though it hurts. The Cincinnati Bengals have made a move to upgrade the receiving core for Joe Burrow. Mike Gesicki has signed with Joe Burrow's Bengals. This is a very under-the-radar sweet move, and I'll explain why. Mike Gesicki is 6'6", 245 pounds. He is designated as a tight end, but he is signing a 1-year, $3.25 million contract. He played with the Patriots last year and had some nice moments, but it wasn't very consistent, and his role was very limited. He did not play a ton of snaps. He did play 17 games, 10 starts, 29 receptions, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns. Nothing amazing, right? In his career, though, he has had really good numbers. 73 catches in 2021, 780 yards. He had 2 consecutive 50-plus catch seasons, 700-yard catch seasons in 2020, 2021. Right in the early days of Mike McDaniel and the later days of Brian Flores. And basically, he's struggled to find his role as of late on the Patriots and within Mike McDaniel's offense, where they ask the tight end to block a little bit more. But why I love this move is the Bengals are for sure going to lose Tyler Boyd, right? And Tyler Boyd, if you look up Tyler Boyd is a big slot receiver, right? Tyler Boyd is 6'3", I want to say, off the top of my head. I'm just going to clarify that on Pro Football Reference. He is 6'2", 203 pounds. So he's a pretty big guy for a slot receiver. Typically, you think of a slot receiver as a shifty little guy, right? Well, Mike Gesicki could play the slot for the Bengals in this offense and provide them a little bit of versatility in terms of matchups. So instead of signing Tyler Boyd to, let's say, $6 or $7 more million than Mike Gesicki, they can go out and get a player that is basically a slot receiver, but is designated as a tight end. But he's a talented guy. He's a big-framed guy. He runs well. He's deceptive in terms of quickness and route running, especially at creating separation at the top of his routes. He's able to box out defenders very effectively. He's a great red zone threat. And so he will provide another different dimension to this offense that the Bengals, may miss in Tyler Boyd, but he could also add another layer of coming out in a 2 tight end formation, splitting into the slot, doing some more athletic things than potentially a guy like Tanner Hudson did for them, or a guy like Drew Sample, who they just re-signed, will be able to do for them. Sample is more of an inline tight end. Mike Gesicki is more of a move tight end. So that ability to move these players around and put them in different positions, I think brings a lot more versatility to the offense. I've always been a fan of Gesicki, having watched him many times against my favorite team, New England. With the Dolphins, I thought he always thrived against my Patriots teams. And then going to New England, I like the guy. I think he's got a great personality. I think he's a good guy to have in the locker room. He understands no matter what his role is, how to perform it well. He's always got positive vibes. And he's still not that old. He's 28 years old. So he's not too old. He's had plenty of experience in different offenses. And like I said, he's had 3 50-catch seasons, 1 70-catch season, 2 700-yard seasons, 3 500-yard seasons. So he's had success throughout his career, and I think that he is an undervalued asset if you know how to use him. So Mike Gesicki lands with the Bengals for 1 year, $3.25 million.